Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Season 3 in 2023 of the My Greek Island podcast with your hosts, George Tsounyas
and Maria Petrakou. Now, before we get into it, from My Greek Island to yours, we wish you an amazing 2023. May this year bring you lots of joy, laughter and health to you and your loved ones.
and a Greek island or two for your holidays this year.
Oh my God,
manifesting
yeah.
Greek islands.
Yes. And of course, we are here to inspire you. So for this episode, we thought we'd talk about the last island My Greek Island visited in the summer of 2022.
And to know this island was the one you visited without me.
Yes, My Greek Islanders, this one we did separately, and I visited after Githnos, which me and George did together, and that island is Syros.
But first, some housekeeping. So if you're not following us on Instagram, head over now and hit the follow button on our Instagram handle at My Greek Island.
So, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island, with your hosts George and Maria.
So today, as we said, we will be talking about an island called Syros. It has been an island I have never really considered, I've heard about, but seems like last year was quite popular. Not only did you visit it, but we know some friends that did. And obviously, as a dedicated My Greek Islander, I was following your travels. So I know there is a lot to do and a lot to see and also lots to eat, I think.
Yeah, indeed. And it was very popular. I mean, I had so many people that visited the island last summer. And also, the locals did mention quite a few times to me that it was very, very busy for that year. And you are very right. There's a lot to do, a lot to see, and definitely a lot to eat. But we're going to touch on that anyway. So I'm not going to do any spoilers right now, George.
Oh, yes. And since Maria is going to be doing most of the talking in this episode,
Sorry.
I thought I would give some background information about the island. So it is an island I'm excited to find out about. Hopefully one we will visit together or solo. And after seeing some of your highlights on Instagram, and obviously I got the team's behind the scenes group chat information of what you were getting up to as well. So Syros is the capital of the Cyclades, or Cyclades in English, but we're going to call it Cyclades, so our My Greek Islanders can learn some Greek as they know with us. And it's often referred to as the gem of the island, but arguably most of the islands are gems.
I think you mean the Aegean.
The Aegean, what did I say?
You said the gem of the islands.
Gem of the... I'm getting confused. The first episode of the year.
Yeah, we're a bit rusty. Bear with us.
It has two main religions, which is interesting, actually. So Greek Orthodox and also Catholic, which is it's very interesting because not many people might know that.
And it's also approximately 50-50. The split is approximately 50-50 on the island.
Oh, is it? Interesting. And this identity is evident when you visit. Is that true, Maria?
It is very true. So as soon as you, sorry, I'm talking. I'm stealing your thunder. As soon as you reach the island, you can see two hills. The one is the Catholic is topped by a Catholic church, and the other is topped by a Greek Orthodox church. So it's quite evident as soon as you reach the island.
Nice. And the island is really well known for its cultural events that take place every year in Ermoupolis. And many of which take place in this theatre, the Apollo Theatre.
Yes, and fun fact, the Apollo Theatre is actually a miniature of Milan's La Scala.
Oh, Oh, interesting. That was not in our notes, so you saved that little gem
did.
for me here. And also, Syros is home to a university, so one of the universities of Greece, which is pretty cool. I mean, that'd be pretty cool to study on the island of Syros.
I think so too. So additionally, Syros is such a gem for those people that love architecture. It's influenced by the 19th century Western standards. So you've got loads of beautiful mansions around the island, especially Ermoupolis. And mainly for that reason, Ermoupolis doesn't give you the feel that you are on an island. But Annos Syros, which is the one that's topped with the Catholic Church, is a typical Cycladic town with those whitewashed houses and those narrow streets. So it does give you that island feel. And it's topped by, as we said, it's topped by the Catholic Church, which is St. George, and it sits right on top of the hill, and it's definitely worth a visit.
Interesting. And is there anything else that you would like to add about Ermoupolis, Annos Syros, or any fun facts?
I've got one more fun fact. I mean, I've already mentioned one about the Apollo Theatre. There's one more that's definitely worth mentioning. There is a masterpiece of El Greco in one of the churches next. So it's in Ermoupolis. It's the church of Gymisis tis Theotokou, and it's right next to the casino. So pop in and have a look. It's as soon as you walk in, and if you ask, they'll tell you.
I'm getting the sense that this island is quite aristocratic, like quite regal and quite,
Yeah, it does.
A bit different than the rest.
It's very different. And I think it's very different because of the architecture, the culture. It's definitely got influences that other islands don't have.
So maybe something for the creatives amongst our Greek islanders.
For sure.
Yeah. Never thought about that. So people might be listening and thinking, okay, I'm being inspired by what Maria and George are saying. But how can we reach Syros? And before you say going by boat, which is obviously going to be one of the options, I'm only ever taking a boat with a car when you are driving, because the Greek ferry experience is for experienced drivers or people that are calm under pressure and just want to live a bit of an adventure to get onto the boat or get off. And
people that just don't get impacted by the screaming around you on the boat, which does tend to happen. I think I just managed to block it out, to be honest. I completely ignore it and I just drive and go where I need to go and, close the window so I can't hear all the shouting. But it can be a bit stressful. And I think your experience last year was a bit... over the top. It was raining, the ramp was slippery. You didn't really enjoy that. But anyway, getting back to how you can actually reach Syros, you actually have many options, because you can go by boat or by plane, because Syros actually has an airport. So you have domestic flights from Athens for sure. I'm not sure if there's any other destinations that would fly to Syros. We'd need to check that, but you won't have international flights. It's just domestic flights within Greece. By boat, the great thing is that you can reach the island from 3 ports, not just one. So you can reach it from Piraeus, Rafina and Lavrio. Lavrio was the port that we chose to leave to go to Githnos. So if you don't have a car and you want to go, I would definitely recommend using the port of Piraeus, because now there is a direct route all the way from the airport to the port of Piraeus, which makes the journey even more easier. And then,
amazing.
Yeah, but I would also note that if you do choose the port of Lavrio, which we did, and we combined it with Githnos, make sure to check the routes, because there's not daily boats from Lavrio to Syros.
Yeah, and I mean that direct route from the airport to the port of Piraeus, like that should have been done 20 years ago. But we're here that it's good that it's now exists and people don't have to take that bus or take a cab
or switch. You could still get there, but you had to switch at Monastiraki and take a train. So you could.
But I mean, it's always good when it's direct. Just make it easier for the tourist. So we always like to scope out the island for you, and I got the sense that it's quite good for creatives, but I'm pretty sure you've got more to expand on that. So do you want to let us know what My Greek Islanders would feel at home there?
Okay, so let's break it down what type of people it would be for, not just like the creatives, but I think Syros is, in general, can fit all needs. And why do I say that? It has many organized beaches, which makes it super family friendly. It's quite cosmopolitan, very cultural. It's very safe. There's lots of locals which live there. So it makes it a super great destination for friends, solo travelers and females, especially female solo travelers, because it's super safe. But also, if you're looking for somewhere to go with a bit of a romantic vibe, it covers that as well. So there's loads to do. And then let's talk about preferences. If you're a foodie, oh my God, the food on the island is exceptional. So I would even say it's a perfect destination for all our My Greek foodies out there.
Is that a hint that it's going to be a new thing for you? My Greek foodies, My Greek Island.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be a new thing for you, My Greek foodies.
And then the other thing is that the distances are quite small. It is best that you have some form of transportation, either a car or, a motorbike. But the distances are small, so you can get around quite easily. It's not a stressful island. It's an easy island, and it has so many things to do. So we did take a car with us from Athens. My friend who met me in Syros brought a car. But you can definitely rent on the island either a car or a motorbike if you want to. And yeah, I mean, it's for practically for everyone. There are more organized beaches than there are unorganized, but you can find that beach that talks to you. You can find the restaurant that talks to you, and you can find that activity that talks to you as well.
Yeah, and also one good tip I think to mention, because apparently last year was a real booster year for Greek tourism, so that's good. But we would probably, I would recommend not to leave the car hire if you're going to do it on the island to once you arrive, to suss out the situation before, because quite a lot of the islands were quite busy last year. And
that's very true.
Car hire might be limited, so whereas in the past you could just rock up and maybe hire a car as you arrive, we would recommend you do that. You scope that out before you go.
Yeah, that's very true.
To an island, especially peak season.
And then one more thing to mention is that Syros is not an expensive island. You can actually find for various budgets. So it's not on the expensive end. You can find expensive meals if you want to, or very expensive accommodation, but you do have a range of choices, which I thought was great. And you have a range of good choices. So with the same amount on another island, you will not get the same quality. So it's quite a good, it's very well placed with respect to budget.
Yeah, value for money. So where would you recommend one or someone stayed, and how long do you think someone should spend on the island? Also bearing in mind the noise situation, because that's something that, like, how noisy if you're staying in the center or wherever.
So we chose Ermoupolis, which is the capital of the island. And the reason we chose that is that there's so much you can do on foot there during the day and the night. But it does not give you that small island vibe, but that of a small city. I wouldn't say that it was noisy, but, it's definitely not a small island vibe. But irrespective of that, we did choose it because it was so convenient to do what we wanted to do from there. Another two, I would say that you need a minimum of 4 to 5 days on the island to actually get a good feel of what it has to offer. Now, if you don't want to stay in Ermoupolis where we stayed, 2 alternative options is Anos Syros, which is at the top of the hill. It's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It has the whitewashed houses and the narrow streets. So it does give you the impression that you're on an island. However, if you have limited mobility or you've got luggage to carry, it's quite a mission to be walking up those stairs and through those narrow streets, etc. So I would caveat that, but it's absolutely beautiful. And there are less options to do there, but amazing options regardless. And then the last one, if you want to be by the beach, there is an area called Galissas, which would definitely give you that peaceful, I'm on the beach, I wake up, I'm on the beach kind of vibe with a decent amount of things to do nearby.
Yeah, and because I'm not really sure about the geography, so Ermoupolis and Syros, are they walking distance from each other?
No, but
It's not.
It's not walking. Well, it depends. But it's like a.
It depends who's walking.
Yeah, it's a 6 to 7 minute drive. It's very steep uphill.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's walking distance, but it's very close.
Do you know if they have buses that go up?
Oh yeah, they definitely have buses, but since
good,
we didn't use them, I'm not aware of the schedules, but there are buses because there's a lot of locals that live there, so you do have bus routes in general.
Okay, that's a really good tip. So depending on what you want, if you want the hustle and bustle to be in Ermoupolis, if you want something a bit more chilled, Syros, and you've also given one for being on the beach with a great sunset, and we all love a great sunset.
Yeah.
If you don't, then don't go to Greece. So 4 to 5 days on the island, but we also like to give sort of our Greek islanders a bit more of an adventure and a bit more maybe combine Syros with another island. So is there any islands you would combine this island with? So if they were going for like 10 days or 2 weeks, they could do Syros, and then what else?
So because Syros is connected to practically all of the islands in the Cyclades, so you can actually combine it with any other island nearby. This year we chose to combine it with Githnos, although, as I noted before, there are not daily routes between these two islands, so that makes it a bit more difficult. But you do have daily routes between other islands in the Cyclades, like Andros, Dinos, Mykonos, Paros, etc. So it really depends on you. Although, to be completely honest with you, you can spend a full week in Syros and not get bored. So you can actually do it just by itself if you wanted to, and do it at a more slower pace and enjoy it. Personally, I would do it either by itself or with Githnos or Dinos, probably.
Yeah.
But you can actually pick and choose any island nearby.
Yeah.
Because it's so well connected.
And also if people are doing it coming via Athens, they could spend a few days before or after their trip in Athens, which would like make it a really nice sort of trip between mix of city, island, and an island that's a bit more the gem of the Aegean. So we're going to get to one of my favorite parts, is looking and listening to you talk about the beaches. So beach vibes only, manifesting Greek summer, looking ahead. So what are the beaches like? You mentioned there's quite a few organised, but give us a bit of a lowdown.
Okay, so first of all, the island, as I said, does have a lot of organised and unorganised beaches and a few nudist beaches. The majority are organised. Most of them are not the typical beaches you expect to see or you have seen in other islands in the Cyclades, but they are, for me, equally beautiful. So you don't have that white sand and like the golden sand with the turquoise waters that you usually get in other islands nearby. However, there are some that are exceptional, and I will mention one of my favorite ones further down. But I'm going to shout out a few that we went to with my friend and enjoyed the most because we went to more beaches. But one is Galissas, which I mentioned is a great place to stay as well. And the reason I mentioned this one is because it has an exceptional sunset, and there is a little hill with a church nearby called the Chapel of Santa Pagou, which is where it's a very easy stroll up. You get great, exceptional views, and there you get an even better sunset. Another beach is Guinea Beach. Now, this one is the beach where there is a mermaid monument that you see in many pictures of Syros. And the reason I'm mentioning this beach is for two reasons. Number one is from there, you can also get a boat to go to some of the secluded beaches of the island. And I'm going to mention that in a bit more detail a bit further down. And then the second reason is there is a famous fish restaurant there called Alou Yalou, which if you like fish, you definitely need to visit this restaurant at some point. And it's the perfect spot for a sunset dinner. One of the perfect spots for a sunset dinner, because there's more. The next one I'm going to mention, if you are into your very organized, someone serving me on the beach, boho vibe, a bit of music and dancing at the end, there is a beach called Angathopes, and there is a famous beach bar called Ono, which many people love to go. Personally, I think I'm no longer in that mindset of being at a beach where there's so many people and loud music. I prefer to be somewhere where it's a bit more unorganized and secluded. But I did enjoy it. It's a very nice setup. The beach is absolutely beautiful. The setup, the boho vibes that you get from this place is just so cool. Then the last one I'm going to mention is a beach from the organized beaches, a beach called Komito, where you've got like these big bean bags that you can lie on and enjoy your beer. So it's more of chilled vibe. And here you can also find water sports and also get an amazing sunset. Now, the two unorganized ones that I'm going to mention is Vaporia. And the reason I'm mentioning, so Vaporia is actually a little neighborhood near Ermoupolis. And here you literally just lay your towel on the cement platforms and you can just jump into the water. The reason, though, that I'm talking about Vaporia is because it's very interesting to walk around and see it, because the area was built by very wealthy refugees from other islands, mainly Crete, Gassos, Psara, and Chios. And these people had lost their homes on their islands during the Greek Revolution in 1821, and they moved to Syros and they built that neighborhood. So you see some absolutely gorgeous mansions in that area, so it's definitely worth a visit. And it's also easy to get to if you're staying in Ermoupolis and you don't have a car, you can just walk to it, which is super cool. Then the second one is Santorini, which is a small secluded beach where you can literally switch off and enjoy some privacy. And as I mentioned before, you've got from Guinea Beach, you can take a boat and you can go to some of the beaches which are not easily accessible. It costs approximately €30 per person. And the guy on the boat will give you an umbrella and a bottle of water to take with you. He will first take you around and show you 5 beaches, and then ask you to choose on the way back which one you want to get off on. And it's so cool. My favorite was a beach called Lia. The waters were just insane on this beach. However, it's not protected from the wind. So we had to choose a day where it wasn't windy to go there. Otherwise, it's not the best option. And I think that sort of sums up the beaches.
Out of all the beaches, which one was your favourite, would you say?
Lia Beach.
Lia.
Yeah.
And it was unorganised. You're more of an unorganised.
It's unorganised. It's very secluded. You can only get there by boat or by trekking about an hour and a half. So it's not a beach that gets full with people. Okay. We took the boat.
Why didn't you try and trek it?
George, if I was with you, I'm sure we would have trekked it.
Have you got your trekking shoes ready?
Yes, absolutely. But no, we took the boat, and I'd definitely say that was my favourite beach.
Okay, cool. So mixed with the beach, we also would like to hear about some of the sunsets that you captured. I know I remember seeing quite a few stories of sunsets.
Yeah.
So are there some best sunset spots for our listeners to go to?
Okay, so I've already mentioned in some of the beaches, quite a few of them, you can get a good sunset. My favorite was Galissas beach, and especially from the church of the chapel of Santa Pacu. But then there was this other restaurant that's in a very secluded area in a little village called San Michalis. And the restaurant was called Plakotroto. It's literally in the middle of nowhere, and it's very high up. So you have exceptional views. And I think that was one of my favorite places for a sunset dinner.
Okay. So the Chapel of Santa Pacu and Plakotroto restaurant, which is hard to say, but we'll make sure it's in the description of the podcast. So, right, Miss Foodie, tell us about your food experience, because you've alluded to it, and even the intro talked about it is a place where you will eat well and there's stuff for everyone. So give us a bit of your highlights.
Okay, so mmany places to have a good meal. I mean, I've already mentioned two. Plakotroto was amazing. Allu was an absolutely insane meal, both with great sunset views as well. In general, on the island, you can find amazing restaurants, amazing cafes, amazing brunch spots, and also like these all-day kind of bar things where you can go for like breakfast or like an afternoon drink or wine and nibbles. So there's a lot going on. Great quality of food. On average, I don't think we paid more than 20 to 30 euros per person, including our drink. Although there were some that were more expensive, but on average, that is what we were looking at. So quite a good price range for food as well.
And for the nicer restaurants, would you recommend booking in advance or turning up?
I think you need to book everything. If we're not talking about breakfast or brunch or stuff like that, if we're talking about dinner, I think a reservation is needed. The good restaurants on the island are very, very popular. People know them, and there's some that you want to go more than once. Definitely, and especially if you're looking for a sunset dinner, you need a reservation.
Yeah, of course. Now, most Greek islands are known for their local production, and I'm sensing that Syros, being such quite a big island and populated all year round, will be famous for some things. So, is there any things that you picked up whilst in Syros that?
Yeah, so there's three things that Syros is extremely known for. The one is the Halvadopita, which is I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a very thin sheet and made with halva, which is something vegan that the Greeks eat when they're fasting. Loukoumia, they're very famous for their loukoumia, and a specific cheese called San Michali. So definitely when you're in Syros, make sure to try 1, 2, or all 3 of these products. You'll probably eat the San Michali cheese at some of the restaurants that you'll be going to. But the Loukoumia and the Halvadopita, I definitely recommend it. So visit one of the traditional shops that sell it, with the most famous on the island being one called Gores and the other one called Livadaras. But there's one more thing I want to mention. Although it's not really just local production, there is a traditional shop called Bregas, which is definitely worth a visit. It's like a museum of spices and delicacies. It's amazing.
Did you did you take any to bring back?
I didn't, but I went in and I was just so confused. I wanted to buy everything, but
yeah, that's the thing. They look so amazing, and if you don't know what you're kind of getting or what you want to get, it might be quite hard to decide. Now, established that you didn't go on a trek or any event. Well, maybe
I actually did.
Did you go on a trek?
I actually did.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't trek to that beach, which was an hour and a half, that if we were together, we probably would have trekked it. I did do one of the 2 treks, though, that I wanted to do on the island.
You did. I remember now.
Yeah, so there's a trek which I think it's quite easy and everyone should do. It's about a 30-minute walk. The last 15 minutes of the trek, I wouldn't say they're difficult, but you need trainers because it's downhill. And that was to the church. No flip-flops. That was to the church of Saint Stephan, which is a chapel built in a cave near the water by a fisherman who, I think he was being attacked by a large octopus or something, and he prayed to the saint to help him. And since he got out alive, he built this church, this little chapel in his honor. I've saved on my Instagram stories in the highlights very clear instructions how to get here, so that you know exactly where to go and to make your journey much easier. But I would like to mention that if you're there on the 19th of August in Syros, do the trek then, because that is when the saint celebrates its name. So the locals will go on that morning and visit and celebrate at the chapel. So it's definitely a great thing to experience. Then one thing that I've left for my bucket list and for when we go together, George, and a trek that I wanted to do, but I've heard it's about 4.5 hours, is to Gramada. And I've told you about this. So do you want to tell our listeners what it is?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a beach that you trek to, and I'll be. I mean, 4.5 hours sounds quite a lot, but yeah. So this is it's a magical bay located in the north of Syros. From those that have been when we've been doing our research, and it does offer natural shade from the trees. But one of the things that's really it's famous for is on the rocks of the beach you can still see the prayers that shipwrecked sailors carved more than, wait for it, 3,000 years ago, which is like, I can't even imagine what this island would have been like 3,000 years ago. Like, yeah. It's crazy, and it's still there. So you can also access the beach by boat.
Yes, so
but it's best to do a trek to get the whole.
Yeah, so the boat that I took to Lia Beach also goes to Gramada, but I asked the guy on the boat, and he said it's not that he doesn't know exactly where they are, and it's on the other side, so it's quite a bit of a trek from the beach as well. And I wasn't exactly sure how to get there, so I didn't attempt it. But yeah, you could potentially reduce your trek there and take the boat up to a point and then trek it.
Now, we all know that you know your tips and tricks, and you do share them on Instagram at My Greek Island, along with the highlights of how to get to the cave. And you have mentioned quite a few already, but let's just recap some tips and tricks as we come to the end of the podcast.
Yeah, so number 1, make sure you visit Anos Syros during the day and the night, because there's a lot to offer. And also park strategically, because you've got the church right at the top. You've got 2 entrances to Anos Syros. Make sure you park from where you want to leave your visit and not from where you want to start your visit, because otherwise you're going to have a long walk. Book the restaurants, especially those that you want to have sunset dining. And as I mentioned before, if you're going to visit the beaches on the northern side, make sure that you take the boat on a day that's not windy.
So, final part of the episode is looking at some quick fire questions that I have prepared. I'm going to put you on the spot. So, are you ready to answer them? Really short answers here.
Okay, ready.
Okay. What was your favourite meal, or where?
Plakotroto.
Okay, Plakotroto. We've mentioned it quite a lot now, so hopefully listeners will remember this one. Your favourite beach?
Lia.
Favourite town or village?
Anosira. Or Anos Syros, as they call it. They also call it Anosira.
Oh, yeah, we didn't mention it. Oh, this one, we haven't talked about it. Favourite drink?
Okay, there was a bar in Anos Syros called Theosis, and it's by a mixologist called Nikos Sotiropoulos. His drinks are just, I don't know what this guy does, honestly. And my favourite drink there was a cocktail called Phthonos. It was amazing.
Do you remember what was in it, or a type of drink?
It was similar to a margarita, but it was more grassy, more fresh. It was, I don't know what he's done, but it was amazing.
Okay. And your favourite spot to have a coffee?
A place called Epta Syros, because not just because of the coffee, the vibe, the architecture, the interior was just really cool.
And we will be doing a how to order your Greek coffee when you're in Greece on one of our bite-sized Greek learning lessons in the next few weeks. And then finally, your favourite memory
the
of
trek,
the trip.
The trek to the church of Saint Stephan.
Yeah. It did look really good from the
it was
Instagram
amazing.
highlights.
It was an amazing experience.
All right. So before we break up for today's episode, what is our Greek? Well, let's have some Greek words for the day. So maybe let's choose 2.
Okay. So the first one, because it's so cultural, let's use the Greek word for culture, which is Koultoúra.
Koultúra.
And the second one, because the theatre is quite known for Syros, let's use that word, which is Théatro.
So you've got Koultúra and Théatro.
Yes.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Right, my Greek Islanders, this comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
don't forget to follow, like,
subscribe and all that jazz, and maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag @MyGreekIsland on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek,
Ta leme.